Hi, friends. Welcome to the Date Like the Movies podcast with your host, Brent Jensen. Today, I have the pleasure of being joined by my good friend, Melissa Thompson. Melissa and I have known each other for a few years now, and we talk a lot about relationships and dating. And so she is the perfect guest to be the first guest on this podcast, Date Like the Movies. She's also been single for a few years, and she's also been a big inspiration for starting the podcast. So again, just very fitting, Melissa, to have you here as the first guest. Melissa, welcome to the Date Like the Movies podcast.
Thank you, Brett. So excited to
You're
be here.
welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. We are going to talk about this movie, which I have kind of showing. There it is. He's just not that into you. The 2009 film, which Melissa, I actually had never seen it until you recommended this movie to me a few months back. And
Yeah.
when I saw it the first time, I was like, this is the perfect movie to start this podcast with because start to
Yeah.
finish, it is all about relationships. I mean, the good, the bad, the ugly, like all kinds. And we'll get into some of all that. We'll get into the good, the bad, the ugly side of relationships as well. But another thing about this movie, the cast is phenomenal. And as I
Yeah.
mentioned, it came out in 2009, so it's been quite a few years since this movie did come out, which was based on a book too. I have not read the book, but listen to this cast from this movie. He's just not that into you. It includes Jennifer Aniston, Ben Affleck, Drew Barrymore, Bradley Cooper, Kevin Conley, Scarlett Johansson, Justin Long, Jennifer Connelly, and Jennifer Goodwin.
Mm.
The movie focuses on the relationship lives of those nine characters played by those nine actors and actresses. It's one of those movies where there's a lot of storylines going on right, simultaneously, yet the movie does a great way with connecting them or kind of intertwining them in some way. And so because of that, Melissa, I thought we would discuss today's relationships and topics based on the various groupings from the
Yeah.
characters within the movie. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. I'm
All right.
excited.
All right. Let's do it. Grouping number one, we have Gigi, Connor, and Alex. One of the very, very first scenes in this movie is we see a dinner date with Gigi and Connor, which seems to go pretty well, more so from Gigi's perspective. So I wonder how common that is, where we have differences of uh, viewpoints on how well dates have actually gone. But
Yeah.
after the date, we see Gigi on the phone calling a friend, talking about how awesome it was, how amazing this date was. And then Connor goes the opposite direction, also pulls out his phone, and Gigi sees him do that. She's under this false idea that he is calling her, leaving her a message, telling her how awesome it was, when in fact, he was calling another woman.
Yes.
Actually, as they were leaving the state, Gigi then obsesses over kind of calling him back. It shows scenes of she's in the shower and she's got her phone within an arm's length away. She's in an exercise class and the phone's right there because she's just anticipating he has to call me. He has to call me.
Yeah.
So the first question I have for you, Melissa, what do you see as kind of your ideal first date?
I think an ideal first date would be something where you can actually talk to each other. Something that feels maybe low pressure, but something where you can really get that one-on-one quality time to see if you connect. For me personally, I do like sitting down and having dinner or maybe going and grabbing a drink or something along those lines, I think is good. I would also say dates can be fun if you're doing an activity as well. So mini golf or maybe bowling. I've done that a couple times on first
Hmm.
dates. Sometimes that can be nice too if you just kind of want to take the pressure off of having to sit there and figure out what to talk about with someone. I'm very talkative, so I don't have a problem talking, but I think the activity dates can help to kind of break up some of the, you know, nerves that come along with just sitting in front of someone at dinner. So,
Yeah, definitely. I think the mini golf, the bowling, a couple classics. But
yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. Not a fan of movies for the first date. It's not good for interaction. Like you don't get to know the person during a movie. Even dinner dates, kind of the movie showed one. that can be some pressure with those two because
Yeah,
there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to um, kind of an activity to kind of take some of that pressure off, like you mentioned. And so
right.
it might not be a problem for you because you're such a great
Yeah.
conversationalist, but for some of us, we might struggle carrying out a good conversation for a first date in some of those scenarios. That's great. What about your thoughts on texting or calling after dates? Do you have any rules? Because I know there's a lot of opinions out there on rules on this topic.
I wouldn't say that I have rules
Okay.
necessarily. After a date is over, if I enjoyed myself, I would probably send a text to the guy and just say, "Thank you so much. I had a great time." Even if I wasn't really into him, I would probably still do that just as a courtesy. Saying thank you is always
Hmm.
great, especially like on a first date. Everybody's nervous. After that, I don't really think I have any rules. Like I would be looking for, if I'm interested in the guy and theoretically he's interested in me, I would just be looking for him to reach back out within the next couple of days to plan another date. That's
Okay.
what I would be looking for to know that we're moving forward on the same page.
And so it also sounds like you've got no problem initiating that either as a woman, where you'll reach out.
I'm not going to reach out and ask them on a second date, but I would
Okay.
reach out and say, "Thank you. I had a great time," just to indicate that I'm interested. And then from there, I feel like that's kind of giving them the ball to say, "Okay,
Okay.
now I'm going to plan the next one."
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
You
So then
could
we
you
have,
could say you could
yeah.
say like you could say something like, "Hey, thanks, I had a great time. Really enjoyed myself. Hope we can do it again sometime." Like you could give that little like extra indicator of interest if you wanted to.
Yeah. I
So,
like that. Gigi then is a little, a little obsessive, I think, in my view, on just always having to have the phone by her, which I think is
yeah.
driving her crazy, actually, as you watch her throughout the movie. Um, Speaking of Gigi, she then meets Alex, also in this first grouping, and Alex knows Connor, who was the guy that Gigi went on a date with. Throughout the film, like one of the common, most prevalent storylines was Alex giving Gigi advice
Yeah.
throughout the movie from his male perspective. And some of his advice includes if a guy doesn't call you, he doesn't want to call you. And then he
Hmm.
says, if a guy wants to see you, believe me, he will see you.
Yeah.
Do you have any additional thoughts on Alex's advice to Gigi there?
Well, I've personally experienced Alex's advice to be true.
Okay.
I was thinking about this earlier before we recorded the podcast. A couple of years ago, I dated this guy for a short period of time. I think we only were getting to know each other for about a month. But one of the things that was he was really good about was planning dates. We would go on a date. Literally at the end of the date, he would say, "When can I see you again?" And then we would book the next one for the following week. And
Wow.
then at the end of that one, "When can I see you again?" And he would book the next one for the following week. He was very good about showing me through his actions and his intentions that he wanted to continue seeing me and he would make it happen. I think Alex is correct in that, like, when somebody really wants to see you, it's going to be very obvious that they want to. You're not going to be left in this weird gray area. Even like the people who are like, "Well, I'm busy or I have other things on my schedule." If you're really, really excited about someone, you're going to find a way to make the time. And even if you don't have the time that next week or whatever, you're still going to make it a point to convey interest to that person through a phone call or checking in, or still, you could still book the next date, even if it's not the following week. I think Alex is 100% spot on in my experience.
I'm a firm believer too that
Yeah.
people make time for what's important to them, right? Like
Yes.
people make time at the end of the day. And so if someone's telling you they love you, do their actions show it, right? Do their actions
Right.
kind of back it up? And I firmly believe it. So I think Alex is spot on. I think you're spot on. But I want to ask you, kind of back to this guy you dated. Was there a date that stands out as your favorite dates that he planned that you can recall?
Um,
Stand
we did
out.
like a lot of going out to dinners and stuff like that.
Okay.
There was one where we went to this, I don't even know what you would call it. It wasn't a brewery. It was a place, I think, where they did cider, like hard cider. It was really nice. It was like a beautiful drive out into a little bit of a different area from where we lived, an hour away. We were able to just get the ciders that we were tasting and just laying out outside. The weather was really nice. So I like that.
Um, that level of proactive date planning is so rare. But from
Yeah.
everything I've seen and hearing and read, yeah. So that's just don't hear that very often about someone being so proactive with date planning and just making it happen.
Yeah.
Let's now talk about the games that Gigi is tired of. Eventually, she does get tired of playing those games because
Yeah.
in her mind, Alex is just giving all kinds of advice, which basically says he wants nothing to do with you. Multiple times he tells her just to run, right, just to get out of there, different situations. So what if there was like no vagueness in dating? And if everyone said what they were thinking or what they actually wanted, and there was no vagueness, there was no questioning, right, about a relationship, would you like that?
I think we would all like that. But I also kind of think that, what do I want to say about this? I think that when someone really knows themselves and really knows what it is that they want, you just naturally are very authentic in your communication and
Hmm.
your actions, aligning with your words. A lot of times where we get into these mix ups in dating, these gray area situations, where somebody's saying one thing, but they're kind of doing the opposite. I think part of it comes from not really maybe being fully aligned in what we want. We might think we want something and we're saying what we think we're supposed to say because we don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, or we know this is the right thing to say, or maybe we really think, oh yeah, I do want to go out with them again. But really deep down, we might know I'm really not that into this. I love Gigi's character in the movie, by the way, because I just feel like we've all been a Gigi. Like just really wanting love and really obsessing over these guys that
Hmm.
aren't really giving us the attention that we want. But if we even take it back to the date with Connor, was the date with Connor really that great? Or is Gigi just kind of projecting and idealizing because she's so excited to be going on a date with someone? I can kind of remember that scene in the movie where you could tell that Connor really isn't that into it. When they're talking, she's really into it and he's just kind of like, whatever. If we lean back and just listen to our intuition, we can usually tell what somebody thinks and feels about us. I guess I say all of that to say.
Have you ever been in a situation where you didn't know if it was a date or not? Like you were questioning it?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I was younger, and this is, I know we're going to talk later about male female friendships, but
Hmm.
I think especially when I was younger and I would have more male friends around me that I would hang out with a lot, I would sometimes not always pick up on the fact that they were romantically interested in me and we'd be spending a lot of time together. And maybe in their mind, the time spent was different than what I thought it was. So now I just ask, I'll just ask like, what's the intent? Or
Hmm.
we're asking me out. What's the goal? Like, is this just friends? Like, what are you looking for? Like, I just try to get more clarity up front on their
Yeah.
intentions and motivations.
Yeah, definitely. Here's an interesting one for you.
Yeah.
And this is definitely tying directly back to a scene from the movie. And it's referring to kind of Alex and Gigi again. What if you were making out with a guy and he gets a phone call and he answers it?
So I've never had that happen before,
Okay,
but I
good,
have
good.
I have been out on a date with a guy whose phone went off in the middle of the date and he was
Okay,
so dumb because like he
okay.
literally we were sitting there at dinner and this person had their phone on the table like face up. The phone went off like a really loud notification and I was seeing like his it was Tinder notifications going. I wasn't even mad at it. I
Uh-huh.
thought like cuz I'm thinking we're just going out. I think it was like a first or second date. We didn't really know each other. It wasn't that deep. So you can assume that he's probably seeing other people until you're exclusive. I thought it was just so funny how you wouldn't have thought, let me turn off the volume and let me try not to have my Tinder notifications popping up when I'm in the middle of dinner with this person.
Did he try and hide it? Was he trying to hide like what it was or anything
I'm
about
trying
that?
to remember if we talked about it or not later. I feel like it did come up. I think we did have a confrontation about it later, in which he blamed it on his mom texting him.
story is getting even better, even better.
I don't even understand. Like, I don't even know the context anymore. It was so long ago. Like, I don't remember
Okay.
why it even came up. Now, if I had seen something like that, I would have just been, all right, like, at least I know you're keeping your options open. And now I also know that you're not considerate enough to turn your phone off in the middle of our date.
Yeah, yeah. For the listeners out there that haven't seen this movie, there's this scene I'm referring to where Gigi is making out with a guy,
Mm-hmm.
not a main character, just, another guy,
Yeah.
and she pauses to go to the bathroom to call Alex to ask for his advice, like while this is going on. And then he answers the phone while he is making out with somebody else and literally on the phone. So
Yep.
yeah, a good thing not to do. And we could have a whole episode on the do's and do nots of technology and phone
Yes.
use while dating. One more here before we get to our next grouping. At one point, Gigi says to Alex, "You need a spark." Speaking
Mm,
to having a spark or needing a spark in a relationship. Alex disagrees with her. So how do you
mm.
feel about it? Do you feel the spark is necessary? Are you kind of in Gigi's camp, or are you with Alex and think the spark is overrated?
Well, I think it depends on how we're defining spark.
Okay.
Because in my experience, a spark is usually going to burn out pretty quickly.
Oh,
I
I like
think of
that.
a spark as like we're really like attracted, this intense chemistry. Think of a whirlwind romance type of vibe, right? And that usually is not sustainable over a long period of time because a lot of times with that, it's more you're projecting onto the person an ideal of what you think them or wish them to be. You haven't properly gotten to know them yet. For me, I don't know that it needs to be a spark, but I want to feel intrigued, curious. You're grabbing my
Hmm.
attention or you are intellectually stimulating me in some way. Everybody's different, but for me, I need intellectual stimulation. If somebody's able to do that and kind of pique my curiosity about like who they are or a certain conversation or topic that we're discussing, that's gonna that's gonna pull me in. To me, the spark is more about like sexual attraction, honestly.
Mm.
It's more we're really attracted to each other, we're like really into each other, but yeah, it's not sustainable over a long period of time always. If there's not more substance there.
Yeah, that was a great comparison you said where the spark's not sustainable, tends to just kind of extinguish itself or flame out. I think
Yeah.
you could use those words because, yeah, I think that's true.
Hmm.
Well, let's say bye to Gigi for now. We're going to grouping number two.
Love Gigi.
she she is probably of the nine characters. Gigi is the one I would say who's just prevalent throughout the film.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
she's
her.
got a lot of screen time in this one. Grouping number two involves Janine, Ben, and Anna. And so
Mm.
this grouping starts. Yeah, this is
Ugh.
a third wheel gone terribly wrong. I don't know how you want how you want to
It's a
describe
third
this one.
party, a third
Third
party
party.
situation affair. It's
Yeah.
an affair.
Yeah.
It shows us how affairs start.
Which started at the checkout line of the grocery store, which is how Anna and Ben meet in this film, clearly finding each other attractive. Before we get into kind of those aspects of this one, I know you've got some opinions on guys approaching you
Mm.
in different places. So, what are some places that you would say are you good to be approached by a man, and what are some that you would not want to be approached by a man?
I think for me, it's more about am I showing you any indication that I would like for you to approach me? Like, I don't think it's about the place. I
Mm,
think it's just about am I signaling to you that I want your attention? Okay. For instance, I know you and I have talked a lot about the gym because that's where a lot of men approach me is at the gym.
mm-hmm.
I go
Yep.
to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning, and usually I'm not in the mood for that. But I could be in the mood if I'm interested in someone. What I would say is if you are a man and you want to approach a woman, whether it's in the gym or anywhere, you should look for indicators of interest. I want someone to come up to me. Usually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make eye contact more than once or for a prolonged moment. I'm going to try to smile at them. I'm going to have more open body language. I might even wave at you. You know what I mean? When you like indicators that I am open to you coming up to me, then you can approach me. What tends to be a little off putting is like specifically will take the example of the gym. If I'm at the gym and I'm just really focused on my workout and I'm not I'm not always aware of my surroundings because I'm just like in the zone with what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden, here you are in my face, like interrupting me mid set or something. It just kind of catches me off guard. So that's what I would say. I don't think it's necessarily about like the location. I think it's just more about, is this person signaling to me that they want to be approached?
We have talked a lot about the gym too. I know you've got some interesting stories.
I
We'll
sure
save
do.
those maybe for another time.
Next podcast.
Next podcast. Yeah, we'll have you back for sure.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question then,
Hmm.
because I think that can be a terrifying thing to
Yeah.
whether it's a man approaching or a woman
Yes.
approaching. I know people have different opinions on that too. Um, but let's say a man is interested in or sees a woman, maybe it's the gym, maybe it's someplace else, wherever. Uh, any advice on how he should start a conversation? Like he's got the nerves, he's got the courage to go up and kind of start a conversation with her. Then what? Any advice for men out there?
The things that I've liked when men have approached me have been very low pressure sort of interaction. They're just coming up to me, introducing themselves. Hey, I've seen you around a while. I just want to say hi. My name's so and so. And I like when they do something like, I'm going to be over here with my friends if you want to come hang out with us later. Coming up and introducing, but then giving me the opportunity to come back to you if I'm interested. That way I don't feel like I'm held hostage. That's how it feels to me. Like they're being very considerate. They don't want to hold me hostage in a conversation. They're just
Mhm.
coming up, introducing, showing that they're interested, and then saying, I'll be over here if you want to hang out, or here's my number if you want to connect, or can I get your number? And then just kind of leaving me alone after that. More brief to kind of test the waters is good initially. And then of course, if it opens up to more of a conversation, if you guys are vibing and talking, you can keep the conversation going. Try to keep it low pressure.
And that speaks to, Melissa, to what you said earlier when you were talking about calling and texting on putting the ball in their court, essentially,
Yeah.
right? So kind of going back to the movie here, we've got Ben again. Now, one thing he does do, it was interesting, is clearly um, he finds Anna attractive right at the grocery
Yes.
store, but he admits initially that he is married. Like,
Yeah.
he does not hide the fact that he's married. He tells her
Yeah.
that he is married, and then I think the thing that gets them back together again is him trying to help her with some music career, or something along
Mm-hmm.
those lines, which is I guess, the excuse to get together again. But then there's an interesting quote here, and this one comes from Anna's friend, who was played by Drew Barrymore in
Mm-hmm.
this film, and she says to Anna, who's maybe having some internal thinking around, should I go for a married guy or should I not? Like, I
Yeah.
think there's something going on inside her mind to have this conversation with her friend. And her
Right.
friend says to her, what if you meet the love of your life, but you already married somebody else? Are you supposed to let them pass you by? Like,
Mm-mm.
this is the quote, this is the advice she's getting from her friend.
Terrible advice.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was
Terrible
saying. Like, who
advice.
says that? Um, Throughout the movie, she goes for the married guy,
Mm-hmm.
which makes me want to ask you this question because I know we've talked in the past, and you had a scenario happen to you. You're already
Yes, I
laughing because I
did.
think you know where I'm going with this one,
I
where
do.
you went out with a man, and then you saw him later on, and it was almost obvious to you that he was with a wife and kids. Is this
Yeah.
accurate, or am I totally off here?
No, that is what happened. So I was out. This was like a really long time ago. I was in my early to mid 20s, like 24. I just
Okay,
turned 37, so this was a while ago.
okay.
I was out at a bar with some friends. It was Cinco de Mayo. And I remember connecting with this guy there who was really attractive. He was tall. I think he was in the military. I do remember him talking about that. I don't remember too much about our conversations at the bar, but we ended up exchanging numbers and then like the following week we ended up going out on a date at the same bar, which probably should have been the first red flag, taking me to the same place that we already had met. Like maybe this was like his space where he would do these antics. I don't know. But yeah, so we went out, we had like food and drinks. It was fine, but I wasn't really interested in him. I felt the conversation was kind of surface level. I didn't really feel like that connection, that intrigue, that curiosity we were talking about earlier. After we had met for that date, I just decided I'm not really going to engage with him anymore. I remember the following weeks, he would still try to message me and he would send me these really lame GIFs of puppies and stuff. You could just tell like he was trying to butter me up or
Hmm.
get something out of me. I think I just ended up ignoring it and he faded off into the sunset. I never thought of him again until maybe a few months later, 6 months later. I was at my place of work at the time. I worked retail, and the store that I worked at was in this town center area where it's an outdoor shopping mall type of vibe. They were having this really big festival that weekend. So there were just like tons of people there because there were all these vendors outside and food trucks and all these activities for kids and stuff going on. I'm just like walking around outside, walking around this little festival. And who do I see in the distance? But I'm like, is that guy that I went out with? And
Oh, gee.
he's literally there. He has a woman next to him. The woman is pushing a stroller, which I think probably had a baby in it. I couldn't see in the stroller. And he was holding a toddler child on his hip. I just remember feeling as though I wanted to vomit because probably he had a family the whole time whenever he was out at the bar interacting with me and Lord knows who else. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know, like, were they on a break when we went out? Who knows? It was pretty obvious to me that he had some more significant commitments in his life that he did not share with me when we went on our date. So
Wow, that's crazy.
pretty
But
traumatic.
yeah, were you hoping that he did not spot you? Were you hoping that he did?
Yeah, I put my
Yeah.
shades on and I ducked
Oh,
out of there. I was
yes.
like, I'm not talking to this person. I mean, obviously he probably was married, right? Like there were two small children there. At least you have somewhere else that you should be other than at the bar on Cinco de Mayo, even if you are like, quote, separated or whatever it could
Mhm.
have been. That's very calculated behavior to be going out and just like meeting women and taking them out when you are with someone else. It's just not okay.
And Anna too in the film, right, knows he's married, so there's no, but she goes for him anyways, like very openly. There's no
Yeah.
vagueness here. There's no vagueness
It's
about her
honestly,
intentions
this
in
whole
this movie.
storyline in this
Hmm.
movie is just like so sad to me because like number one, I think the character of Anna, aside from her getting involved with a married man, she seems amazing. She is a yoga instructor.
Yeah, she
She's
is.
gorgeous. She's got her friends. She seems to have a really great life. But she is getting herself into a situation with someone that she knows is literally not available to give her a relationship.
Hmm.
Listening to this really delusional, bad advice from her friend about, oh, you could be the one for this guy that's already married. It was just really sad to see that. And I just personally think in these types of situations, is Ben, the married man, bad for being attracted to Anna? No. I think whether you're married or not, you can still be attracted to people. You can still have crushes on other people. But the key is like, what are you acting on? Because if it's one thing to admire someone from afar, it's another thing to engage in a series of boundary pushes that lead you into this really undesirable situation. When I think back to how they met in the grocery store and they're talking outside, the revelation that he's married, if I'm Anna, the answer should be, well, it was great meeting you. I'm so glad I won this cooler or whatever the thing
Hmm.
was. And you move on with your day. You don't think about it anymore. And for him, I think it was really really bad that he gave the phone number because maybe in the moment
Hmm.
that seemed really innocent. Oh, I can help her with her career, whatever. But you know that you're really like physically attracted to this person. You've told her that like in this interaction. Like, why would you put yourself in a situation where you could be tempted outside of your commitments? It was a really just a sad storyline all around. But I think it does kind of accurately portray how a lot of affairs probably start because it is just
Hmm.
like a series of like these little pushing the limit until we're too
Hmm.
deep and we can't get out.
Do you think
So
Anna was more attracted to him because he was married? Like, does that feeling exist within a woman?
I think it does exist, but I think that if you're, how do I say this? I think that comes from a deeper wound that needs to
Hmm.
be healed within self. Somebody who is married is not emotionally available or physically available to really be in a relationship with you. So to pursue someone like that suggests to me that there's some deeper inner work that needs to be done to kind of explore why am I attracted to pursuing that. Now, again, it's different if you're like, oh, I admire that person or I have a little crush on that person, but you don't act on it. If you keep it innocent, I think that's one thing. But In the movie, she's actively going for it. We see the contrast with Connor, who's like really into her, and she's just like not into him at all, but he is available and like wanting to live together with her and like build this life together with her. But she's more attracted to the man that really can't give her that. So inner work needs to be done if you are finding yourself that pulled into that type of situation, in my non-expert opinion.
One thing I do really like about this movie, honestly, is because of the reality of the relationships.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, we haven't yet got to the ending yet, but we
Yeah,
will. Um, there's not a lot of traditional happily ever afters in this film. Let me ask you this question now on Ben. This kind of goes to Ben and Janine. So Janine's his
yeah,
wife, and their marriage has been in jeopardy for some time. You can tell there's kind of a lot going on there that we don't see, that we don't
yeah.
hear about. But she does find cigarettes in the yard and accuses Ben, as that was something that I think he said he would stop doing. One question I want to ask you, though, maybe not specifically to that scene as much, difference between red flags and deal breakers. Do you see a difference there, or are those one and the same?
To me, a red flag is something that I want to investigate further before I make a final judgment
Mm,
call on it. A deal breaker is more something in my mind that's like, if I find out that this person embodies this behavior or has this view, then I can't be with them because we're not compatible. Does that make sense?
hmm Yeah, that makes sense. Deal breaker, kind of non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you've got your items that are so important to you that you can't be in a long-term relationship with somebody if right if they are doing or possessing whatever your deal breakers are.
Yeah. In this case, Janine obviously does not want to be with someone who smokes. Unfortunately, she's with someone who's a liar and who does smoke.
hmm
If I were in her shoes when I'm going on dates, I would be asking men, like, are you a smoker? And if they are, instead of giving them an ultimatum and marrying them, I
hmm
would probably just say, hey, we're not compatible. This is my deal breaker.
Let's move on to our intermission. We actually have an intermission segment.
Okay.
I am calling this segment quotable, Melissa.
Okay.
I have 7 direct quotes from the movie, which I have not shared with you in advance. I
Okay.
intentionally kept these from you, so I would
Great.
get your genuine responses here. But in this edition of Quotable, uh, how would you react or respond if a guy said
Okay.
this to you? That's the idea.
Great.
These are direct quotes. These are all quotes from different men in the movie, and I want to hear your reactions on how you would respond if a man said this to you.
Okay.
All right, first quote. Look, I can't stop thinking about you. It's a problem. I drive by your place, I call and hang up. I've turned into that. So if a man said that to you, how would you
Uh,
respond?
I think context is really important, but just on
Yep.
its face, I think it's a little much. I don't like to feel suffocated, but I would be worried that this person is a little clingy or a little obsessive. After that, I would probably want some space and boundaries put up.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Quote number 2. This one is short and to the point. You are my exception. What if a man said that to you? You are my exception.
I would think again the context I would want more
Yeah,
context behind why they're saying it, but on its face it's a little corny.
yeah. Okay. All right, we chalk that one up as corny most of the time. I mean, probably all of these depend
Yeah,
who's saying it, how involved you are with the person. Yeah, I get
correct.
that. Quote number 3. You were right. I gotten so used to keeping myself at a safe distance from all these women and having the power that I didn't know what it felt like when I actually fell for one of them. I didn't know. How would you take that one?
I don't know. I think if they've been having some inconsistent like F boy behavior leading up to this point, and it took all of this for them to finally realize, I think I would be turned off before we even got to this
Hmm.
conversation, to be honest.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Quote number 4. Seriously, I've never felt like this before. I have to actively stop my brain from thinking about you, like all the time. Direct quote. I'm not making this stuff up.
I think that's
Okay.
cute. I think
Okay.
especially if you know each other, and it's not like after the first date. To me, this would be cute if you're in a new relationship with someone to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. Quote number 5. Why do women do this? build up the stuff in their minds. Take each little thing a guy does and then twist it into something else.
I think I would say, can I get some clarification on what you feel I'm misunderstanding?
Okay, okay. A lot of these quotes, too, as you can tell, are Alex.
Yeah.
Alex is the majority of these quotes.
Yeah.
This one is a little different now. It's one, I thought it was one of my favorite quotes in the entire movie, not by a main character who says it. He says, "Oh, girl, I don't know about that. My trampy little sister says MySpace is a new booty call." He says that to one of the characters. This is like new aged online
Yeah.
dating, is I think the
Yeah.
context there. Um, but what if you had a friend maybe or a guy say that to you?
Well, I don't know. I don't even know what I would say because
Yeah,
I feel like that the MySpace, like that is just so like from back in that time. You
I
know what I
know.
mean? Now we have so many more platforms for online
I know.
dating and interacting with people. I think it would just catch me off guard if they were talking about MySpace.
If someone said MySpace now, you'd be like, man, you gotta get off MySpace. Like, you just
Exactly.
gotta get off MySpace.
Yes.
Is MySpace still a thing? That would be my
We
first
need to
stop.
find that out.
Yeah. Here's the last one, and this was actually a voicemail in the movie. So, I was hoping to talk to you, obviously, but you're out, I guess. So, just call me sometime. Or tonight. Uh, I'll be in around. That's that's now. It's Alex. Okay? A rambling voicemail from Alex. If you got a voicemail like that
Uh,
from a man,
I think I would be confused about what he's asking of
I'm
me,
confused by
but
saying it. It was confusing me.
I would probably just call back and be like, "What's up?" Or send a text like, "Hey, I got your message. Did you need to talk about something?" Like,
all right. Well, thanks for playing the first edition ever of Quotable. Um, and it's
fun.
funny you dig into some dialogue in movies, and some dialogue is very corny. Those seven were all direct quotes from the film. You passed. Congratulations, you passed. Now to grouping number three. We're back to Connor. Actually, Connor's in more than one grouping.
Yep.
Anna's in this one as well. Anna, yep. So I talked about those two, and then we have Mary here a bit as well in this grouping. So Connor, you mentioned this already. Interested in Anna, but she is not interested in him romantically.
Mm-hmm.
Although they've had some form of relationship in the past, or at least
Mm-hmm.
more than friends at some
Yes.
point in their history. Certainly, we see that in the film. And then Mary, her involvement here is she is an associate that Connor doesn't meet in person until the end of the film, right? So
Yeah.
Connor's in real estate, and she's one of his associates that works with him or a contact. So this is the question I did want to ask you around male-female friendship dynamics, because Connor and Alan kind of have that dynamic where one wants more, one wants just friends. What's been your experience with having male friends?
It hasn't been good, to be
Okay.
honest. Yeah, it hasn't always been good because in my experience, a lot of times there usually is one person that is maybe wanting more than the other, whether it's they want romantic exchanges or they want just more time or effort or energy spent together. I've always struggled with that. It's still something that I'm navigating in my personal life. I've had some really awesome male friends, and then there have been falling outs because of
Mhm.
them having feelings and wanting more and maybe not always being happy if I don't reciprocate that.
Have you ever been the one wanting more, or has it always been the man that's been wanting more in your experience?
Yeah, I think there have been some times where I felt like I've wanted more, but I feel like majority of like the very significant male friendships that I'm thinking about in my life were kind of like they were the ones that were wanting more.
Yeah.
There's like one in particular that was like a really big one in my life that I'm thinking about. So, yeah.
You've got Anna, who doesn't want to be more than friends with Connor, yet
Yeah.
she's going after a married guy.
Yeah.
And then you have Connor, who had that date early on with Gigi, doesn't
Yeah.
want anything more than the first date. He wants Anna.
Yeah.
Like, this is, I feel like this is real life, though. I feel like this is so
Yeah.
common where
It is.
relationships work this way, you know?
Where it's like you kind of want the one that you can't have or the one
Yes.
that's like slightly more mysterious or unattainable. Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Here's a question for you, and I'm going to answer this one too. This question is direct from a scene between Anna and Connor in the moment they have where they are discussing this question. Out of these four attributes, you can only be two of them. Which two would you pick, Melissa? And these four attributes are smart, sexy, funny, or cute. You can only pick two of those. Which two would you pick for yourself?
So I'm not choosing any of those on the list. I would say I'm intelligent and beautiful. I
Okay.
I need synonyms.
You went rogue. You went outside of the list.
Yes, I did.
So you went with intelligent. And what was your second one again?
Beautiful.
Beautiful. I've always liked beautiful more than sexy, more than cute, because to me, beauty is inside and out,
Correct.
right? I do feel if a man calls a woman beautiful, that's much more of a compliment than other
Yes.
words that might describe physical appearance.
I completely agree, Brent.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I did stick with the list, although now you're thinking maybe I should have gone rogue and picked outside the list, but I'll stick with the list because that's what
Okay.
I was thinking about. I went with funny, actually. And one reason I had some logic here. I was thinking funny or smart. I picked funny because I feel like that's harder to gain. Like if you're not a
Yeah,
funny person, it's hard to just be funny.
it
I feel
is.
like smart, you can like maybe work harder, you can read more, you can
Yeah.
study more. I feel like that would maybe I could gain on my own. But
Yeah.
funny, I feel like if you're just not funny, you're just not funny. Like so that's Brent's logic into picking funny.
I like
Uh,
it.
and then the other two, sexy and cute. I mean, I wasn't picking both those because I feel like they're similar. So that's why I went with funny on the one side. And I went with sexy on the second side. I'm not really sure why over cute, but that's what I went with. So.
Okay.
But your picks are better. Next time I'll have to give some thought to outside the list. Let's go to grouping number 4. This is our last grouping. We've got Beth and Neil. Haven't really talked about them yet. This is Ben Affleck and Jennifer Aniston. So they've been
And
together.
Ben Affleck was so fine in this movie, by the way. Just had to throw that out there.
I'm trying to think how old he was back then. I'm not sure, but I could look that up. Well, I don't think we even mentioned that the Anna, right? Like the least, the character who is, least likable. She's played by Scarlett Johansson,
You
right?
think she's the least likable character?
In this movie,
Yeah.
yeah, Anna, the one that
Yeah.
is going after the husband.
I don't think I actually have a lot of compassion and empathy for her character, even though she's making very poor decisions. Yeah, I do. I don't think she's the worst character
I'd say worse, the least likable.
or
But
the least.
anyway,
I don't think she's the least likable.
okay, then let me ask you that: who's your least likable character of the main 9 characters?
Ben,
Ben.
Bradley Cooper's character.
Okay, he's the married guy. Okay, I could see
I
that
mean,
one.
I have compassion,
Yeah,
empathy for his character too, for all the characters. You can kind of connect them to real life experiences of people you know, whatever. But like, I think he's kind of, I think he's pretty problematic. I mean, think about how he's
definitely.
behaving.
Yeah.
Going back to what I was talking about at the beginning about not knowing yourself, and there's this scene where Jennifer Connelly, his wife, Janine, in the movie, she's basically like he confesses to her in the Home Depot that he's having an affair,
Hmm.
and he's like, "Do you want me to move out?" And she's like, "You don't want to work on our marriage?" She's ready to work on the relationship, and he's like, "No, I guess I'll stay." He doesn't know what he wants. And I feel like that comes up multiple times. Even there's a scene where he's on the boat with um what is Ben Affleck's character name again?
Ben Affleck is Neil.
Neil. That's right.
Yes.
Because
Yep.
they're friends. The two of them are hanging out on like Neil's boat or whatever, and they're having a conversation about like, do you want to be married? And he's like, I don't know what I want. Like he is just like a confused person who was ultimatumed into a marriage. And instead of like really thinking about like what does he want in his life, he's just making all these poor decisions because he's just a confused person.
Beth wants to get married. Neil openly opposes marriage. In
Yeah.
fact, one of the first things we hear Neil say is that people who get married are not to be trusted. Because if you were so legitimately happy, you wouldn't feel the need to make a big show out of it. These are Neil's words. Meanwhile, his wife Beth wants nothing more than to be married to him. And they've been together for 7 years, right? So they've been together for
Yeah.
a while. And eventually it leads to the breakup.
Yeah.
Beth breaks up with Neil,
Yep.
who stays adamant that he never wants to marry. You touched on this kind of briefly earlier, but how do you feel about relationship ultimatums? Like, do this or don't do this or
No.
it's over. No?
No, because for me, I want whoever I'm with to want to make their own decisions of their own free will. Like I would never want to feel I had to coerce someone into doing something that I wanted because I'm always going to be like living with that like discomfort forever. And I'll never know would they have eventually made up their own mind about this or so no, I am not a fan of ultimatums. I think that it's really problematic to do that. I just think like if you're with someone, you have to really assess like whether or not you align on values and goals and like if someone isn't aligned with that for you, maybe you're just not a match. You don't need to be like twisting people into pretzels to make them conform to what we want.
It will come back not in a good way
Yeah.
with a vengeance. Like, I feel like
Yes.
on both sides, right? From your
Hmm.
perspective, you're going to wonder if, if they really wanted this or if they really did have a change of heart. You're never going to really know.
Right.
And on the other side, I think eventually there's just going to be uh, resentment, I think is the word I would use. Like maybe not
Yes.
initially. It's kind of like you're doing it to appease your partner for a short time, but
Right.
long term, whatever it is, if you're not genuine in changing whatever it is they're asking you to change,
Right.
yeah, I think there's going to be a huge deal of resentment down the road, which is going to
Yes.
blow up at some point. So,
Agreed.
yeah. And this one's tough too because they've been together 7 years. So it's not like it's like you're newly dating and something big
Right.
happened. But the thing we don't know about is was she always this pro marriage or did it just
Right.
happen recently? Like there's a lot of things we don't know, right, about these situations. But yeah,
I think that's why I think it's so important when you're dating to know what you want so that you can ask those questions early on and make sure that you're on the same page before you commit to a 7 year relationship with someone. Now, people can change their minds. You know, you can't control that. But like you said, we don't know the specific details of this
right.
couple.
What are some topics then that you would say are very important to be on the same page with, just in terms of relationship?
Values, beliefs, like religion,
Hmm.
politics, spirituality, like the general way that you navigate life. You know, what does that look like? Definitely things like marriage, children, where do you want to live? What are your life goals? Like, what are your individual
Hmm.
goals that you have? Like, do you have career goals? Do you have, and like, where do those things kind of fit into a relationship? Yeah.
Yep.
For me too, I would also say like lifestyle is super important. Like, are you someone who likes health and fitness like me? Or are you someone that's more of a partier that that's not going to be like
Yeah.
compatible? Those types of things.
Yeah, I think you hit all the main ones I was thinking of. Parenting, came
Yeah.
up. Religion, you mentioned, a big one. Finances too. I mean, you think
Yeah, you're
about
right.
what are the things that cause most relationships to either break up or lead in divorce, or finances is often at or near the top of that list.
Yeah.
So how are you going to handle that? Who's responsible for what?
Yeah.
Roles in the home, those types of
Yeah.
things
That's a
are, I
big
think,
one.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting to any listeners that you talk about all this on the first date. I'm not suggesting that at all.
No.
I'm just saying when you're considering a long-term partner, that these are things that you want to have those discussions around. So
Yeah.
that'd be a not my ideal first date if everyone was just like, all right, let's talk about everything on this list.
No, definitely not. You got to ease into these topics.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Um, one more thing I want to talk about here with Beth is her dad actually suffers a heart attack at her younger sister's wedding. And that's the thing we didn't even talk about is the added
Hmm.
pressure of her younger sisters getting married. And there's some real feelings there. Um, that can be a thing too if marriage is big on your list. Afterwards, there's a scene or two where she's taking care of him, but receiving little help from her
Yeah.
sisters, from their husbands. There's these moments of you can just see it where
Hmm.
the stress of everything is just weighing her down.
Yeah.
And then Neil just kind of randomly, he just randomly shows up and starts pitching in with dishes, laundry. And again, this is after they broke up. Here's what happened. Comes back, pitches in with, doing these chores and things to lead Beth to tell him that he's being more of a husband than those other actual husbands were being.
Yeah.
But what do you feel is the top complaint women have about men in relationships? If you could pick one or two
Hmm.
from a woman's perspective, anything come to mind?
That's really hard because I think all of us are different and have different needs, and there's different dynamics that can play out. I think what they show in the movie is probably one, not being super attentive and attuned to what's going on
Oh,
in a
okay.
really emotionally charged situation like that. And I think the husbands in the movie kind of illustrate what not to do. We're sitting around, we're in the house, we're not really being helpful, we're eating all the food, we're watching football when we have this really stressful illness in the house and we have one person bearing the burden of caretaker. So I think that could be one. The other one that I feel like I hear a lot is like communication and just like being able to talk through and process like emotions and feelings and sort of conflict resolution type of stuff too. Just like being
Yeah.
open to talking about things and working through things. And I honestly, I don't even know that either of those are exclusive just to complaints
Mhm.
women would have about men. I think that it could apply to both
Yeah,
on both
definitely.
sides.
Yeah, the first thing I thought of was lack of effort, which I think ties
Yeah.
into some of what you were saying too,
Yes.
like lack of date planning, prioritizing these
Yeah.
things, um, lack of effort helping around the house or with the
Yeah.
kids. I think speaks back to why those conversations are so important to have, um, because yeah, that can lead to a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of resentment and
For sure.
frustrations when she shows in the movie it's like the weight of the world is on her shoulders, and there's all these people that could be helping her, but they're not, and they just don't see it. So,
Yeah. I think that all of us want to just feel like we're in a partnership. Well, maybe not everybody, but for me, I want to feel like I'm in a partnership with someone where we're really working together to do life. I don't need someone to take care of everything for me. I don't want to have to be the person bearing the emotional burden of everything for you. We should be helping each other, being our best selves in the relationship.
relationship is meant to be make life more enjoyable to me, right?
Totally.
It's that's the ideal thing is life is more enjoyable when you're with somebody that you both care about and you enjoy fun things together. You have someone to go through the hard times with, to work together, and that's I think the purpose of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I hear a lot of things now too. Where a lot of folks are just like, I'm happy you're single.
This speaks to not being with the right partner. Because,
Hmm.
like, for me, I've been single for a long time and I am pretty content. I'm
Hmm.
not like out here actively looking and dating because I'm wanting someone really bad. I would love to have a partner. But I think that because I'm so at peace, my life is so peaceful, it's going to be so easy to tell, or is so easy to tell when I meet men if they're going to disturb my peace. You know what I mean? If you're not adding
Yeah.
value, if you're not,
Hmm.
I don't want to say it like that, but if you are someone who is lazy or you don't like to, like let's just take planning dates because we've been kind of talking about this as a theme, a thread throughout our episode here. If you don't even understand the basics of how to plan a date in advance, book a dinner reservation if you need to, confirm a couple of days ahead of time. Like if you don't understand or you don't have the skill set to do that, no. Like what you're not going to be adding anything to my life. I'm going to be babysitting you. Like you're my
Yeah.
child is how it's going to feel. That's just
And
one example.
yeah,
So
a
I
lot of
think
individuals feel like that too. Like I have to
yeah.
babysit a grown adult, when
Yeah,
things
and
get to
I'm
that point.
I'm sure that men experience it too. Like, I'm sure that it's hard for them as well. Like if they're really dating with intention and they're getting flaked on a lot. Like I think there's a lot of that out there. But
Yeah. Well, that's a great segue, Melissa, into our kind of one of our final pieces here, into a segment called Date That Movie, which is all
hmm,
about date planning. A big part of Date Like the Movies is using movies to unleash our creativity
yeah,
into date planning. I've got no problem at all with dinner and a movie, but there is
yeah,
so much more that we could do and have fun with in terms of dating. And so the idea between Date That Movie is where we each come up with a date idea that has been inspired in some way by this movie? And that could
Yeah.
inspire you in a ton of different ways. It could be a scene from the movie, it could be anything else, any inspiration that has come to you from this movie. And so, Melissa, let's start with you. Do you have an
Yeah.
idea for a
I have
date?
two.
Oh, you got two. Perfect. Go for
I
it.
was inspired by two. The first one that immediately comes to mind is Neil's boat. It could be really cute to have dinner on the boat out on the water or to just go out on the boat as part of the date. I thought that was cool. The other thing that kind of piqued my interest was when Anna was teaching her yoga class. And you know that I'm really into health and fitness. I would like a date that could incorporate that in some form or fashion. Maybe not just taking a yoga class, but maybe like yoga and then we grab lunch after or something that can incorporate the healthy lifestyle. Could be cool.
Yeah, awesome date ideas. The boat one, I love that too. You don't need your own boat. There's lakes. You can get something small. You can do it that way. If you want something bigger, you could go on some type of a bigger boat. Lots of ideas there with the boating. There is
Yeah.
that brief yoga scene in the movie. Um, if someone else planned the date for you,
Hmm.
it speaks to their thinking of you
Yeah.
in mind of that date, which I think is an added bonus when it comes across that way. So,
Yeah, for sure.
well, these three activity ideas, probably not doing all three, but either frisbee. So there's a very brief frisbee. It's not even a scene. It's not even a
Okay.
scene. All you see in the movie, Melissa, is frisbees with Connor's name or logo on there.
Oh, that's
Because
right.
yes,
Yeah.
that's how simple, that's how detailed I was looking for my ideas on this segment. And so either frisbee or going someplace for swimming, or there's a scene where they're playing pool or billiards.
Okay.
And then my other idea on top of that, which I think is a fun pastime, people watching.
Oh,
People watching, because there's a scene in there where Alex and Gigi are at the restaurant or bar. They're watching a couple from a distance,
yeah.
and they're trying
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to make up or assume what's going on with that
Yes.
couple's relationship there. And I don't know. I just think people watching could be a fun time with either frisbee swimming or billiards or multiple of those
Yeah.
on a date. We each came up with a couple there.
We did well.
Yeah, we did well. Awesome. So there's your ideas for those listening that need some other ideas. Now it's going to wrap things up in the spirit of showbiz and the premise behind Date Like the Movies. This is where I ask our guest, Melissa, for your final takeaway or your action in terms of this segment. Meaning, what's just one lesson or action that you think someone can take from he's just not that into you and apply
Mm,
into their relationship? Like we've talked about a lot, if there's just one, or even if it's something we haven't even talked about yet, something small, something big,
yeah.
what's one thing that comes to mind? It's just like a lesson learned.
I think probably the most obvious lesson from this movie and the book is that if somebody is really into you, it's not going to be confusing. It's not going to be a blurred line. They're not going to be married. They're not going to and trying to date you while they're married. They're going to be available and they're going to be communicating consistently. They're going to be taking you out on dates. They're going to be trying to get to know you. You're not going to be confused about where you stand. That would be my takeaway.
Don't overthink it. I feel like
Yeah.
is because I think
And
it's
that's
easy
why
to tell the stories. Yeah.
and I love our girl Gigi in the movie. Like I just think she's so cute and again, very relatable because we've all been a Gigi at some point, but she's definitely like spiraling. She's overthinking, she's obsessing, and
Hmm.
she's not even like sitting in the moment and really asking herself, "Do I like this guy?" Right? Like remember the date in the beginning with Connor? It wasn't that good of a date from what we were seeing. He
Hmm.
just wasn't that interested. He wasn't really that engaged. If she would just like sit and kind of just be in the experience, she would have felt that before she started obsessing.
Great advice. Great lesson learned. One of my lessons here or takeaways is that the happy ending can be different for you depending on the relationship or the situation that you're in, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps the ending that you need is getting out of an unhealthy relationship, right?
Right.
Or maybe the ending you need is maybe it does have to come to divorce. Maybe that's what's best, and it comes to that. That's one lesson I think I picked up, or just something that I was thinking about throughout this movie, because you have all these characters, all these relationships, and very few of them really actually end the way you would expect.
Yeah.
they would end from at least from a Hollywood standpoint. So,
I kind of like that about this movie because to me it's a little bit more realistic.
hmm
They gave us a couple Hollywood moments with Gigi and Alex and then
that was the one. That was the big
Neil.
one. Yep.
Yeah, and then Neil and I can't remember Jennifer Aniston's character's name in the movie, but they get married, right? It was like
Yeah.
a good balance of the Hollywood ending with the reality endings.
Even with Beth and Neil, uh, it took a breakup to get there though. It still took a
Yeah.
breakup and then getting back together um, to get to that marriage at the end of the movie. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, Melissa, thanks so much for joining me on this episode to discuss He's Just Not That Into You. Thanks to all the listeners for tuning in. Make sure you don't miss the next episode of Date Like the Movies. Until next time, my friends, keep dating. Thanks so much.